Okay, could you bring the witnesses to the witness table, please? Good afternoon. For the record, I would I would like you to state your name and the positions that you represent in your organization.
Chairman, my name is Paul Leong Sim, and I'm the Secretary of NTUC FairPrice.
Good afternoon, Chairman. I'm Jonas Koh. I'm the Director of Corporate Communications and Brand.
Chairman, I'm Chong Yet Shin, Director of Food Safety and Quality for NTUC FairPrice.
Okay. Welcome to the public hearing on the Select Committee on Deliberate Online Falsehoods. The focus of today's evidence gathering session is for us to put questions to you. Okay. I'm sorry. The evidence that you'll be giving today to the committee will be taken on affirmation. The clerk will now administer the affirmation.
Yeah, I will administer the oath first. And all those taking the oath, please hold the Bible in your left hand and raise your right hand. The oath first, not the oath. Please recite the oath.
I, Jonas Koh, swear that the evidence which I shall give before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Will the witnesses taking the affirmation please raise their right hand and recite the affirmation together?
I, Paul Leong Sim, do solemnly, sincerely, and truly declare and affirm that the evidence which I shall give before the committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. Please be seated. Now, welcome to the public hearing on the Select Committee on Deliberate Online Falsehoods. The focus of today's evidence gathering session is for us to put questions to you. Now, you have taken a solemn obligation to answer our questions truthfully. I will now call on, who's going to do it? Ms. Sun to ask the questions.
Good afternoon, Mr. Poh, Mr. Koh, and Mrs. Chong. Thank you for joining us today. The panel has read your written representation. For the purposes of today's hearing, I'll be highlighting some of the main points that you put forward in your written submission. And if it's a correct reflection of what you have in your written representation, we would appreciate if you could say yes or correct so that the clerks could have that noted down. So if I could call for the written representation we put on screen, please. On page 1, in the first paragraph, you start by stating that FairPrice has had its share of being featured in fake news over the past 2 years. You then refer to a few examples, mainly to the halal pork incident, plastic rice, gift vouchers, and fake chin chow incidents. Also on page 1, third paragraph, you say that the consequences of fake news is severe if it relates to food products, because people would tend to be very careful and err on the side of caution and stop buying. Also on the first page, you state and say that some of the consequences include economic losses through loss of business, reputational risk, and deterioration of customers' confidence, goodwill, and trust. Is that an accurate reflection of your submission?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. I'll now like to go to the halal pork incident. It has been quoted several times in this public hearing sessions. I would just like to hear from you the exact circumstances, and if you could share with us the various countermeasures that you have undertaken. I think we would then get a better appreciation of what such fake news does for a cooperative like yourself and what that means for you reputationally. So if I could invite Mr. Jonas Koh, please.
Thank you for the question. For the halal pork case, it first surfaced in 2007. For FairPrice, we take a very strong and serious view against allegations that are unfounded and untrue. That is because we position ourselves as a socially responsible retailer, right, moderating the cost of living for our consumers. And when unfounded or mischievous allegations are made against FairPrice, where a mischievous person uses non-existent product and fake the news and circulate it to the consumers and to the public, we take a very stern view, and we are very concerned over such an incident. What we did then immediately was that we make a police report. right? And the speed to correct this and rectify the issue is that we also go on our social media. I think in the first place, sorry if I could just also reiterate, we also wanted to, when fake news start, to ascertain that it is not right or it is false, right? From there, then we take the appropriate action and appropriate measures. In this particular halal pork case, it is definitely false. So we made a police report and we embark on our social media as well as on our various, on our website. We seek the help of the media as well, both print media and broadcast media, to share this false news to the public. So we made it very clear that this is, this issue is false, it's not true, and that we take a very stern stand against that.
Could we understand how long it took for you to ascertain that the report is false? And you also mentioned that MUIS conducted an investigation. So how long did those take to happen?
Yeah. So for this incident, like a halal pork, we know that it is definitely a false news. So it is an immediate. We did not need to ascertain that because there is no such product. Right? So it is immediate, and we immediately lodged a police report. The police investigated. It took some time, and they came back to us. I think we also made a report to MUIS as well. And MUIS investigated, and they exonerated us and said that, yes, it is not true. FairPrice does not carry such a product.
Do you remember how long it took for MUIS to conduct the investigation?
Madam San, I think it came back very, very fast because, as mentioned by my colleague, this issue of halal pork actually is very clear-cut that we never saw such a product or never, ever there is such a product in the market. And it was clearly smacked out of Malaysia that this was being circulated. So MUIS came back very fast.
Okay, but regardless, it still resurfaced in 2011 and 2014. I think one of the representatives before us used the term whack-a-mole, meaning that it comes up, you whack it, and then it just pops up again. So regardless what you have said, that you could very quickly put those fears, allay those fears, and say that it is false, it still comes back to haunt you and to create mischief and malicious intent once again.
Okay, you're right in that sense because we also realize that when news goes out into the social media, it becomes very difficult to contain, right? So I think there is a need for us when the news come out to manage it, to assure customers that this is not the case. Unfortunately, after a couple of years, or maybe even a couple of months, it comes back again in different form. So we are of the view that to address such an issue, there must be a multi-pronged approach. While addressing the issue of halal pork, in terms of speed to market, in terms of clarifying and assuring people that this is not true, unfortunately, there are malicious intent. Sometimes people are mischievous, and they resurrect this issue again. We may not know the intent and the rationale for these people doing so. It could be out of mischievous intent, but we feel that to address this, there must be some form of perhaps a legislation in place to address this issue of false news, especially when it disrupts social cohesion or social harmony, especially in our multiracial company, or a multiracial society.
So just to confirm, there was never any conclusion to the police investigation in the sense that the culprit was never brought to face the brunt of the law, right? Because
unfortunately, I don't think they were able to identify the culprit and the perpetrator of this news.
So that being the case, it could still potentially happen again?
Yes, given the experience that we have had, there is a potential that it may occur again.
Okay. I'll now like to go to the plastic rice incident. Could I trouble Mr. Kaur to share the circumstances behind that?
All right. Okay. Again, yes. In last year, there was an image of FairPrice house brand FairPrice house brand rice, and there was this rumor that went around to say that the rice was actually not an actual rice, but made from plastic pellets. And that was actually a false allegation, also a false rumor that was circulated. What made it disturbing was that the person who shared the news said that he had a friend who is a pharmacist, and they confirmed that it is a plastic rice. That created a lot of fear and a lot of concern among consumers and the public as well. So that came about, which was again unfounded and untrue. So we made a police report. We took immediate action. We investigated, and we worked with the authorities like AVA as well, and we assured the public that this wasn't the case, and this isn't the case.
Would you agree that it was a waste of manpower and resources on your end to have to address these falsehoods?
Definitely. I think in terms of spending of resources, is the manpower would be in terms of investigating the claim first, right? When the claim comes about, I think we have a very strict code of conduct to ensure food safety. And when this allegation was brought about, manpower resource is needed to investigate the claim. Manpower resource is also needed in terms of having to address this issue from our IT and have posting on the Facebook and social media to assure customers that this is not the case as well. Manpower in terms of the investigation needed to ensure that yes, this food safety that we have in place is not compromised. So in terms of resource use needed to address this issue, it is a very multifaceted and complex issue to address. And even when we assure people that is more the corrective action that people have, I think it doesn't really mitigate it because it's already out there, and it creates a lot of unnecessary public alarm.
Would you agree that if there were many such repeated cases of falsehoods made against your company, your cooperative, and if you had to devote a lot of manpower resources to rectify it, that it really means cost to you, which could eventually result in cost to the consumer as well? Would you agree to that?
Yes, it would be. Madam San, yes, we would agree because it costs money. But we are hoping that there's only a limited, as much what we can do is limited. So which is why later in our submission, we have suggested there should be legislations to tackle fake news and to protect the innocent party or parties from this kind of malicious fake news.
Yes, I think it's quite obvious that you've been a victim of quite a few repeated instances of falsehoods. Is there anything you'd like to add?
And I agree to what you have stated earlier, that the frequency in which this is happening is actually increasing. I'd like to draw the attention to the submission that we had on gift voucher participating in a FairPrice survey. So there are also fake news out there to say that FairPrice is celebrating some occasion, and if you participate in a survey, you are given like from $400 to $1,000 for your participation, and this is entirely false as well. And we noticed that the frequency, it first started in 2014. You only have like sporadically 1 or 2 of these cases. And in 2017, we noticed that there were at least 5 occasions of this fake survey being organized. But for this year alone, in the first 3 months, we already have got 3 incidences of this recurring. So you're right to say that it is a recurring problem, and in terms of the frequency, it is also happening more frequent.
And also, just to add, some may seem to be fake news, but in the case of the fake Chin Chow, actually they are not fake, but actually it was more of a storage issue, which we also take steps to clarify. So we are not that, not treat everything as it is as fake news. We actually do a thorough investigation, and if it's not fake, we will take every step to clarify it. In the case of the fake Chin Chow case.
Thank you. Would you agree that in the case of the gift voucher rules, right, that it also causes reputational issues for the cooperative, in the sense that you could have customers turn out, they could be angry, they could think that you actually did not give them what they think is due to them?
That definitely is the case as well. We do agree. And I think it's a reputational risk because they would think that FairPrice is a legitimate, if they're not careful, they would think that it is a legitimate survey, and they participate thinking that they will be rewarded for their participation when it is not an initiative introduced by the organization. I think increasingly it's also very difficult for consumers sometimes, if they're not careful or if they're not attentive, they can actually fall prey very easily. Because this is not just fake news, it is actually part fake news and part real news. An example is that this year, because FairPrice is celebrating our 45th anniversary, so they use part of this to say that FairPrice celebrates 45th anniversary, participate in this survey. So it becomes, it is a fake news, but they use a real 45 years of FairPrice history and they merge it together. So if a less discerning consumer, they will very easily fall prey into such a scheme.
But we are naturally very, very concerned about this because they're using our name. The purpose of this giving vouchers and enticing shoppers to respond is because they want their personal data. So we are very, very concerned that they are using this to get the personal data of people who think that we are asking it for them, which is never the case.
So in that sense, are you saying that it might be beyond just malicious intent, that there could be a corporate motive for having access to data, personal data? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, we are concerned that because when you respond to this survey, you also have to provide personal data to the fake news website, and I think these shoppers, because of our reputation, these respondents will be very willing to part with their personal data, and we are very concerned.
So this is equivalent to identity theft. Would you say that?
Perhaps not so much as identity theft, but it's actually leveraging on masking themselves as FairPrice. Yeah.
Using our name to get information which they, in the first place, would not have been entitled to get, or would be impossible to get.
And in all the examples that you have provided, even though you have lodged police reports, unfortunately, even after the police investigation, the culprits were not brought to task.
Yeah. The police have also shared with us the difficulty that they face. At times, some of these websites that they identify are situated out of Singapore, so it is a bit difficult for them to follow up.
In all the examples, or?
In certain of the examples, not all.
I see.
So far, we have not taken any.
Okay, would you then agree then that just relying on the efforts of individuals or a corporate in your case to protect yourself against deliberate online falsehoods is very challenging? And that's why I guess towards the end of your submission, you actually, I think, let me just make sure I use the correct words. You conclude by saying that there is a need to enact laws to punish perpetrators of fake news.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman. That's all I have.
Just a short question. Thank you so much for your attendance here and for sharing. In this panel, we've heard a range of kinds of deliberate online falsehood. Some appear to be very serious because it affects our national security, and there are those relating to our social fabric. Some may say or feel that we shouldn't be too harsh with having rules for deliberate online falsehoods, especially if they are of different types and severity and impact. I'm just wondering, because it may seem it's very petty. It's something that's spread online through WhatsApp about vouchers, about fake rice and halal pork. But the truth is, all these things affect our daily living and our community. And NTUC FairPrice as a brand that people know, have grown up with. So I'm wondering, as a victim of this impact of deliberate online falsehoods, what would you say, and what would be your take on the importance of actually having some rules in place to make sure that this thing doesn't repeat itself, notwithstanding what kind of nature the deliberate falsehoods, because false means false, and if you have intent to actually cause misunderstandings and confusion among public, that's something that we need to deal with. Could I get your thoughts on that?
Maybe I share, especially on the plastic rice case. Now, till now, we still get feedbacks about the plastic rice. Now, when the plastic rice came in the news, the WhatsApp messages going around and the Facebook as well. I think we took about 2 hours. Okay, I was sending the apps to Jonas and telling from my reports we shouldn't have this issue, and from the incoming imports we also will not have this issue. And then we quickly went out and say what are the steps that we checks and audits, and we don't find that there's any issue. So we even call the authorities on checking the import data and everything. Verification was done that there's no fake rice imported to Singapore. So I guess first thing, the speed and the verification done internally, we are able to quickly nip the initial speed of the fake news being spread. Now the key thing is because people would have the tendency of believing because it's from this chemist or this pharmacist, so like a technical professional people are saying with truth in a sense. So it becomes very believing, as you friends spread to another friends, to relatives and all that. So it actually spread even further. So our point is very importantly that if you have us, what we can do, we are able to monitor, detect within the organization. So this is what we can do. Okay, as consumer come on board and ask about, because it's our FairPrice brand, we can answer to that product and answer to the brand or those things that sell in FairPrice. But the thing is within the organization. So if the external environment keep churning out more fake news about other products, about various things, so the whole sustainability of the whole cycle, you can do that so much as more environment in the external environment from they create more news and then attack the whole ecosystem. So there will be fatigue, and then the more cost and time involved, in killing the news and all that. So I totally agree. If there's some external forces or help controlling the external environment, that will help in terms of the spreading or even in taking the person to task. I think that's the most important.
Could I add in my perspective? If I could just add in a perspective to what my colleague has just shared. I think for us, we do have mitigation plans in place, but mitigation can only do so much. I think there must be other measures in place to ensure that when people share news, it has to be responsible. They have to ensure that it is accurate before it is being put on into the public, so that it doesn't cause unnecessary scare and unnecessary inconvenience to the larger public in place.
Mr. Desmond Lee.
Can I ask you two questions? First is page 1 of your submission. You say the consequences of fake news are likely to be the following. 1, economic loss through loss of business. 2, reputational risk. And 3, deterioration of customers' confidence, goodwill, and trust. Now, you've articulated the 4 examples, and you say that the risks of fake news are enterprise risks, commercial loss, reputational damage, consumer goodwill lost. Would you agree with me that in respect at least of the halal pork case, that beyond enterprise risk and damage to your goodwill, there's also a risk of damage to race and religious confidence in Singapore? So it's beyond just NTUC, but through attacking your enterprise, they impact the social cohesion and religious cohesion in Singapore.
Yes, in fact, it does affect the religious harmony, because some of them were even telling me, you mean FairPrice, such a well-known organization, sell halal pork? I say, no, definitely no. My immediate response is no, there's no such thing as halal pork. So if this goes on, there's bound to be some people who will believe it. It's inevitable.
Thank you. Second question is, you've been hit at least 4 times, if not more, as an enterprise, though you're a social co-op. What resources and what processes have you had to put in place in light of DOFs impacting your enterprise?
Thank you for that question as well. I think for us, we look at this very holistically. FairPrice has a very trusted brand, is a trusted brand with our consumers. We have painstakingly built it up for the last 45 years. And in order to address fake news, we have our website. We also have our Facebook. We have more than 280,000 Facebook fans. We serve about 600,000 customers a day. So as far as we can, we try, when we are alerted of false news, we put it on our social media. We ask our customers to check the veracity of the information on our website, because once we have feedback from customers, we put it up immediately. All right? And we also alert our customers service team that if anyone call up to address it at the point and assure them. So these are the few things that we put in place so that we address the issue at point and we give that assurance to customers immediately. Yeah.
Just a follow-up, you've articulated the whole series of measures to combat fake news about your products and services. In your experience, after these 4 cases, have your measures been able to put to rest all the concerns, or do these falsehoods still persist in some way?
I think it is very difficult to nip false news in the bud. While we are able to address and put in context the false news at that point in time, experience has also shown that it can deviate or it can take another new form in perpetuating it again, right? Maybe it comes out in a pork product, a different pork product, and then someone just use it, a halal stamp on it and recirculate. Or it could be a revival of the same case again, just like in the halal pork sticker. It is an old photo that has already been circulated. All the efforts have already been put in to clarify that it is false. But after time, when people forget, some people may just resurrect and resurface the issue again. So corrective measures we do have, but I think it is more needs to be done so that to ensure that when people share news, it has got to be in a very responsible manner. And we always open ourselves and we invite customers in, if in doubt, contact us. We'll be more than happy to verify and clarify.
I just ask one final question. You don't purvey these falsehoods, but you've seen the form in which it takes: photograph, modified, couple of words circulated, and compare that and contrast that to the amount of resources and energy that your enterprise has had to put in to try, though not entirely successfully, to put these falsehoods and misperceptions to rest. Could you compare and contrast and let us have a sense from your perspective?
We cannot afford not to do anything, even if it costs us money and time, because what we are dealing with is food. You know, today it could be rice. The next week it could be milk powder. You know, so we cannot afford just to close one eye and say, "Oh, let's move on." No, it is because we are dealing with food, and because we are an organization that everybody have a lot of trust in us, in our organization, in the products we sell. So we cannot take this very lightly. So we're going to continue assuring our shoppers that we really take every kind of fake news very seriously, and we really have to address it properly.
And I think in this day and age, silent means guilt. So I think we need to come out and state our position.
Thank you.
As there are no more questions, Ms. Chong, Mr. Kaur, Mr. Poh, on behalf of the committee, I would like to thank you for your presence here and your contributions. Within the next few days, we'll send you a transcript of today's proceedings. Please look through them. If there's any errors, please correct them and send back the transcripts to us. Thank you very much. Thank you. Sergeant Arms.